It's so lovely to see you here again. Welcome. This is for you if you have ever filled in a spreadsheet before now and you've still got no idea what actually to do day to day, how all of those numbers literally translate into your bank accounts. It makes no sense. So let me show you how to bring it to life so that your money actually makes sense to you every single day. Okie dokie, let's take a look at this particular financial wellbeing toolkit I've created, and you'll see from this particular demo I just happen to have chosen a slightly more abundant household income of in the region of about £55,000 over the course of the year. Of course, yours may be more than this, it might be less than this. Point being, it is going to be the concept is exactly the same regardless, but of course the actual amount of how much you have to spend varies greatly, and of course what you have to spend your money on varies greatly too. So I'm going to just give you the really quick flavour of what this spreadsheet will give you in terms of information and why I've laid it out the way I have and how simplified I've made it. And then you can see as a result of that what it's telling you to do. Because if you're finding that you're getting really confused and overwhelmed with the fancy spreadsheet, for example, and it is just looking like it's just a whole sea of numbers, you're not really sure how to make that come to life it's probably because your spreadsheet is just not set up in a systemized way for you, the way that you work. So the first thing I've done here is called the income section. Obviously, going to get that piece right is clearly the most important piece in terms of your managing your income, getting that bit right. And I don't say that lightly, because the reason why I'm saying that is because one of you in the household may be self-employed, as an example, or maybe you've got seasonal fluctuating incomes, and that can make a really big difference. So can child benefit and maintenance, depending on how old your children are. So these things, to get that bit right, is really important. So in this particular example, you'll see that I've put the second income is quite a low one, and it does fluctuate. So through the summer, there's a period of time where it's probably unlikely there's going to be a lot being earned, and then again building up to Christmas a bit extra, and then after Christmas it kind of tapers off again in the early part of the year. So getting those things right and off the get-go is going to make a huge difference to how you lay out the rest of your budget. Fixed needs I like to do next. So you've got a whole selection here to choose from, plus of course you can chop and change things to your heart's content on this toolkit, but this is obviously going to be the biggest chunk of your money, like it is for everybody, unless you're mortgage free, in which case it might not be the biggest chunk of your money, but it gives you a total running flavour of exactly month by month how much your total fixed needs are. And of course, when you know things are going up in price, for example, we do know that energy is going to be going up in price again in July. Slight caveat, I am still a utility warehouse partner, so if you do want to have a look at your bills because they're just driving you insane, then let's have a chat. It's a completely free service that I offer, and we can literally see how much yours are going to be coming out at, including your broadband, mobiles, and a couple of other bits and pieces, and we can get you the best deal that's possibly out there on the market. Anyhow, I'll put that in the comments below so you can see how to book that if that floats your boat. So let's have a look. You've got wraparound childcare, you may or may not be paying for. You may have two lots of this to pay out for. You may have one child in nursery, one at school. There's a whole different selection of things going on for everybody here. So don't get too hung up on the numbers themselves, but this is just to show you how a layout can make a really big difference to how you manage your money. So the next section I like to look at is your flexible living needs, and that ranges from anything from supermarket, pets, cleaning items. I tend to buy most of mine all in one place. You probably do too. Self-care, prescriptions, hairdressers, kids things, gym, everything that goes into your lifestyle. It gives you a running total across there. And then what I've designed into this is just underneath the savings section is a highlighted section called guilt-free spending, and this automatically populates like everything else does. But what this will allow you to see excuse me, in real time, is when you're putting your numbers in, it will obviously go up, go down accordingly, and you can see what you've got available to spend on other things. So it also works then as a really nice reminder, oh, hang on, why is that month suddenly £600 I've got available, but the next month is only 298? Where's that where's that going on? So you can work your way back up again to see exactly what it is. Oh yeah, of course it was a birthday month, whatever it might be. So in this instance here, savings wise, I'm going to assume for all intents and purposes that you've decided upon your financial goals for the year. You've chosen your savings accounts. You may have been looking at and chosen something to invest in. Maybe you have set up your ISA, maybe you haven't. But for the sake of this particular video, I want to talk about what your play money is, if you will, and also how to separate that into real accounts for visibility, so you know what's going on. So for the sake of argument, let's say you're going to be having £100 a month going into your emergency savings account, 200 a month going into your holiday fund, maybe you've got some sinking funds set up. Again, another £100 a month. If you're not aware of what sinking funds are, this is where you can actually put some money together into a pot. I'm always calling them pots, a savings account, be it separate, or you may want to combine them. I personally like them in a separate account or classified as a separate pot. Again, I'm quite visual. I need to see it separated. And this means bigger things like Christmas, like birthdays, like other, going away for the weekend. Those sorts of things that are going to be causing you to spend money more so on one month than another, you might like to actually start to contribute to. So whilst it may not pay for everything, for example, in this for Christmas here, £1,200, that might absolutely pay for absolutely everything for Christmas for you, or it might not. Then of course you can chop and change how much you're putting away every month to suit you. Now here is where we've got the guilt-free spending, as I say. So this is where you can decide exactly where this money goes or how it's used at this stage. Personally, I don't really enjoy budgeting for every single thing. I find it's too restrictive, and it's too faffy to try and maintain. So I like to say, okay, as a household, we've got X amount of money to spend this month. How are we going to spend it? Okay, well, you need a new pair of trainers. I really want to get my hair done. I think we should spend some money on the garden. All of those discussions that you may or may not have as a couple, or if you're solo living, of course, it's your decision, yours only. You can decide where you put that money. You might think, you know what, it's a really good month this month. I might pop £200 of that actually into my sinking funds instead of anywhere else. Lovely. So I've got a bit extra on this month's looking a bit lean. So what I can do, knowing I've got that little bit extra in here, I can take that out so that it kind of bumps up a bit more in that leaner month. Or it may be you think, do you know what, our garden looks an absolute wreck, and it doesn't right now because we spent a lot of time and a bit of money on it as well. But you might think, you know, garden bits, we want to make sure that we've got some really beautiful new plants and some lovely new pots this year. It's about time. Maybe a piece of garden furniture. So how much have we got? Right, we've got 400 kind of sort of spare. I always suggest having a buffer as well. So let's set ourselves a little bit of let's go £300 we can spend at the garden centre this month. And then looking at next month, we've only got £300 kind of spare. And again, I'm really reluctant to kind of draw on all of that money. Let's say, for example, we cut ourselves a little bit of slack and we're going to allow £200 at the garden centre there if we want to spend it. So we've still got, oh, that was quite handy, 111 each month. So you can see how this now fluctuates. Knowing you've got this kind of pre-budgeted in advance for bigger things is how you can then decide where to split it and how to split it. So this 300 and 200 might just go into our ordinary accounts for regular spending, but we know we've earmarked it to spend at the garden centre. It may be that we spend 200 and 100 or 500, and then that's it, we're done. We don't have any more money left out of our pot. This is where it comes to having that fabulous annual view. You can really leverage what you're going to be spending. Yes, sometimes you are pinching from Peter to pay Paul. We've all been there. But other months you're going to find that you can have that bit extra where you didn't have it on another month. So at the bottom here, to make it make sense, you can see I've broken it down again. So you've got total spend on guilt-free, bottom line total income, bottom line total outgoings. So is there anything left over that you haven't allocated? Maybe you just have that as a buffer. So what that then means is when you've completed the month of April, you'll look at your bank statements and you just go, right, did we spend that on that? And you can go, no, we spent extra on that. Right, let's adjust that birthday spend to the 120 instead. But actually, we didn't spend that much on garden. We actually only spent 100 in the end. So you can see how you can utilize this spreadsheet in real life terms. But in terms of actually siphoning things out into separate accounts, I'm hoping this is now clear. So you've decided that you're going to set up your direct debits for your savings, and you're going to manually transfer money that you want to spend on your just general lifestyle lovely things into a separate account, or at least mentally earmark it in such a good way that you can actually keep tabs on it when you are spending it. Okay, so I hope that was really useful. And just one extra little thing with regards to sort of setting up different pots and things. You may find that the bank that you're already with has already got such a facility to allow you to create pots, like Monzo is famous for creating pots, or Starling Bank is really famous for using something called Spaces. This means you can kind of get virtual cards, virtual debit cards, so that you can literally spend from any one particular compartmentalized account, which is really, really useful when you need to visualize from a very, very complex home economics setup, which, you know, the older you get, the more family members you have, the mortgage, the this, the that, the car finance, you know, it gets complicated. And this is why this stuff actually, whilst it would be great if it was taught in schools, it currently isn't, but it will be coming. But point is, if you've got to your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you think, I still don't really know what I'm doing, you're not alone. Don't worry. So, yes, if you've got a bank situation that already allows you to kind of separate and compartmentalize your accounts, brilliant, use them. But if you haven't, then of course do the old-fashioned way and maybe set yourself up with an extra just regular account within the bank that you already bank with, and so you know that the play money, the stuff you got to use that is not already assigned to anything else, you can put that in there, and that's what you got to use for that month. You may even like to use something like a cashback card. And I know a lot of people do like to use credit cards for this exact thing, paying it off bits and pieces, maybe in full or maybe just an amount every month. I'll do a video on credit card ideal, in my opinion, credit card use another time. But in this particular situation, if a cashback card sounds pretty good to you, it is pretty good if you're looking at, again, I mentioned earlier in the video about utility warehouse and getting your bills transferred over to so that you're spending less. But also they provide a fantastic cashback card, which means literally you can put an amount of money onto this prepaid MasterCard, and you have that to spend anyway you like a regular card, and it means that you earn cash back all the way up to 10% from normal day shopping. So you can have that coming off your bill. So you may benefit from having 5, 10, 15 quid a month, or even more, significantly more, particularly if you are a higher spender, and have that coming off your bill every single month. So various ways that you can go through portioning out your money, and starting with a spreadsheet that is along the lines of what I've created there. You can copy, do your own version, or ideally buy mine. It saves you the time and the bother, let's be honest. And then you can make sure that it's mentally compartmentalized before you actually compartmentalize it into real life, into different accounts or different pots. So if there's any questions, then please do feel free to put them in the comments below. If there's anything you'd like me to do a video on another time, then please again let me know. Thanks very much.